The fundamental flaw in the president's approach is that he continues to tell the world and to tell Putin what he will do after Russia invades, that we will respond decisively after they invade. I mean, that's like, telling the Ukrainians that is kind of like in World War II telling Poland or France what we were going to do after Germany invaded. We need to be making steps now for deterrence now to prevent Putin from taking that drastic step.
That was Florida Congressman Michael Waltz on this show last hour, slamming President Biden's approach to Russia's troop buildup along the Ukraine border. The president made those comments about responding decisively to an invasion during a phone call yesterday with the Ukrainian president. This ahead of U.S. and Russia holding talks on Ukraine in Geneva next week. Let's bring in Fox News senior strategic analyst, retired four-star General Jack Keane. Happy New Year to you. Sir, do you think that we are doing enough as a country to deter an invasion rather than just talking about what will happen after it happens?
No, I mean, the fact is, Dana, that this is the second particularly military incursion near the Ukrainian border. The first happened in the spring, and we didn't do much about it then. And that was a lost opportunity, because I think there were two actions we could have taken as a result of that. One, significantly increase the military aid to Ukraine. I mean, we have given Ukraine, as the administration says, some lethal aid, a lot of non-lethal aid. The lethal aid has been anti-tank weapons, but that's not all that they want. They also want anti-aircraft, anti-ship, they want helicopters, and a laundry list of things. We should be giving them significant military capability to establish a better deterrence for them. Secondly, we could have easily have put some forces in NATO countries that are close to this crisis situation, and that's Poland and the Baltics. Those are lost opportunities. Right now, the president should be pinning the rose on Putin. And what do I mean by that? He precipitated this crisis using a false, phony narrative that there's something going on in Ukraine that justifies 110,000 Russian troops to be on their border. That is what he's playing to his domestic audience, and we should unpack that phony narrative and go after him for it and say he's precipitating the crisis. We're not going to make any concessions on some phony, trumped-up crisis that he's developed, and say that not only to him but publicly. We have lost opportunities here already. Yes, I agree with that. Do you think that Putin responds and has reaction to worries? Does he worry about sanctions and this heavy price that Biden says he would pay? Does that affect him? Well, this much we know about Putin. He's 20 years in office. What he's really about here is trying to prevent a further expansion of NATO and also undermine NATO. And I read the document that he sent to President Biden that's, in the public media, and it is breathtaking in its scope, because he wants no further expansion whatsoever of NATO to include Ukraine. And then of the 14 countries that have joined NATO since the collapse of the Soviet Union, he wants no NATO troops in those countries or NATO weapons in those countries. Now, that's unrealistic, but it gives you a sense of where he is coming from. He is calculated. He's not reckless. He's very deliberate in his planning and preparation. I fundamentally believe that he thinks there's an opportunity here because of the political and social divisions in Europe and in the United States, that the leadership in the United States and in Europe is weak, and they are susceptible to pressure and will give in to concessions. That, I think, is the strategy that he's using. And if he comes up with nothing whatsoever, then he will likely conduct a limited military operation, probably in eastern Ukraine, and also possibly put some troops into Belarus. That's the hand I think he is playing. Yes, if he believes that Biden's resolve is there, and there's credibility in Putin's mind about Biden's resolve, and the determination is there for the economic sanctions that we've discussed before, particularly the international banking system, NATO troops in NATO countries close to this crisis, increase those, and significant military aid to Ukraine, that could have an impact on him. But remember this, sanctions have never impacted Putin in terms of his executing what he wants to achieve. It has never prevented him from doing it.
General Jack Keane, love learning from you, and we'll pay attention this week as they're going to talk this week, and we'll see if that can be used as some form of deterrence from this invasion. Thank you, General.
Yeah, and Happy New Year to you, too.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.